When you stop texting her, it's not tears and love songs that she's thinking about. It's a reality check with a twist of Stoicism. You see, Stoics teach us about detachment and the power of focusing on what we can control, which is a lot like what she's thinking about when you stop texting her all the time. She's not pining. She's thinking about how you've gone from being boring to interesting, and she might even wonder if you've decided to stop following the crowd and instead stand out. You might think she's dying for your return, but she might just be playing emotional peekaboo. She leaves and then returns to observe your response. Guess what? Most people think you'll react the same way you always do, but here's a somber take on it. What if you make a different choice? What if your silence speaks volumes about your mental health and self-worth? Do not just stand there, take action. Who knows, maybe she'll start looking for the wonder you've become. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell too. Bell. Let's learn more about Stoic thinking and make things right for you. Stay tuned and let's find our way back together. The first sensation is that of rejection. Let's discuss a topic we've all experienced but seldom discuss: rejection. We've all experienced the gut-wrenching, ego-bruising experience of rejection, which no one wants to acknowledge. Imagine this. You stop chasing her, and you disappear all of a sudden like a ghost. One moment you captivated her with your undivided attention, and suddenly you vanish, shattering her sense of control. It's as if you've disappeared completely. At first, she might not pay attention, but soon she realizes what's really going on. Suddenly, she goes from feeling like the queen of the universe to wondering what happened. What did I do wrong? And why isn't he interested anymore? Her ego once again takes a hit. Sky-high drops, and this is where the real emotional roller coaster starts. She feels sad. It's not just that you're not paying attention to her. She feels like you've forgotten about her, and the time you spent with her now seems pointless. Trust me. Every unread message and missed call leaves her wondering, did I say something wrong? Was I not as interesting as I thought? She's looking for answers where there are none. But when anger sets in, she begins to wonder, who does he think he is, disappearing like that? How dare he disregard me for her sake? Her ego, now wounded, fights back. She's mad at you, of course, but the anger often turns inward too. She starts wondering what I did wrong and why wasn't I enough, and the comparison game begins. Maybe you're with someone else. Maybe you're playing games with her emotions. It eats at her, and then comes the shame. Oh, the shame of rejection. It's as if she's a weak girl hiding behind a facade. Smiles, trying to keep up appearances in she fakes a smile, trying to maintain appearances in her mind. She imagines everyone viewing her as the girl who couldn't hold your attention, the one who was publicly abandoned. This is where Stoicism comes into play. You've stepped back, not to provoke a reaction, but because you've embraced a philosophy of letting things unfold naturally without attachment. And while you've stepped away, she's in full reflection mode. Small gesture, and every glance shared between the two of you. She begins to contemplate what she could have done differently should she have been warmer or colder. Played hard to get this self. While contemplation can be beneficial, it can also be exhausting. While she's busy analyzing every little thing, you're just living your life without any worries. The key to getting through this isn't manipulation. It's realizing that you can't control other people's feelings or reactions. By stepping back and not expecting anything in return, you keep your peace of mind. If you don't care about her, she won't come back. Caring too much gives her power, but indifference is the ultimate trump card. To sum up, rejection hurts and makes both of you think, question, and wonder. But here's the Stoic truth. You decide how much you let it affect you. If you walk away and keep walking, letting her wrestle with her own thoughts, You'll realize that peace lies in detachment. Don't look back. Let her figure out how she feels while you move on stronger and less upset. Before we move on to the next point, take a moment to think about how you've dealt with rejection in the past. Have you ever stepped back and found the clarity and peace you needed? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't be shy about sharing what you've learned, or just type "peace lies in detachment" to remind yourself of the power of letting go. Now let's move on to number 2, the feeling of missing someone or something. 2. The emotion of missing something. Picture this. There's a certain irony to the way people, especially women, start to value you the moment you step out of their immediate reach. It's almost like a psychological game, and believe me, it's fascinating to watch. You haven't left her forever, but the second you stop chasing her, everything changes. It's as if your absence pulls the rug from under her feet, triggering a wave of emotions she wasn't prepared for. Suddenly she's overwhelmed with the fear of losing you, and it's in that very moment that she realizes how much she truly cared. But here's the kicker. When you were there, giving her your time, your energy, and showing her you were the nice guy she barely noticed, you were just another option, just another guy who was there when she needed. But when you step back, when you disappear into the background, that's when her world flips upside down. It's comical, really. All it took was your sudden disappearance, and boom, now you're the prize she didn't even know she wanted. In that moment, something changes within her. The fear of losing you, or the feeling of loss, becomes what drives them. She starts to play through all of her memories over and over again in her head, like an endless movie reel. The funny times you shared and the small, everyday conversations now seem like priceless gems. It's as if your absence makes you untouchable in her mind. She starts to wonder if she really lost him, and if there's still a chance to fix things. That's when she starts to overthink and panic, going over every interaction like a detective, looking for clues to where things went wrong. Let's be honest. She hasn't lost anything. You just stopped being available, and that's when the magic happened. Stoicism teaches us that we often imagine loss more than we actually experience it. In her case, it's the fear of losing something that really bothers her. The unknown may be what's making her so upset, but here's the Stoic truth. This feeling of loss is only temporary. She may experience a brief period of distress as she attempts to reunite with you, and even if she succeeds, the sense of urgency will dissipate once you return. If you don't keep your distance, she'll only value you when she thinks you're slipping away. Once she finds comfort once more, the situation reverts to its initial state. This is where the Stoic mindset comes in. You must set your own boundaries. Don't let the temporary chase make you think she'll always value you. The key is to never be fully available because, in the end, it's the fear of loss that keeps her invested. It's not about playing games. It's about recognizing your value and never allowing others to underestimate you. You must embody the Stoic principle of detachment. It is time to make a change if you are tired of being the only one she cares about when she believes she is losing you. Stay calm, in charge, and never fully available. The story. Don't be that product that everyone rushes to buy, but then forgets about once the panic is over. Instead, be that rare, hard-to-find thing that people will always want, but never fully get. You can stop being the man she takes for granted and start being the one she feels she lost by reading the digital book described below. If you're tired of being treated like a disposable item, it's time to break free and take control of your life, emotions, and value. You'll acquire the skills of indifference, cease engaging in these games, and, above all, help her recognize her own loss. Enough with being walked over. It's time to be the man she didn't know she needed until it was too late. Being curious is a strong feeling that can take over her mind. keep her up at night and force her to do things she wouldn't normally think about. When you withdraw from her life, cease your pursuit, and fail to provide an explanation, you create a void in her mind that will persist with thoughts about you until they find a resolution. Let me ask you this. How often do people really stop and think about what's going on when they know exactly what's going on? Almost never. When you take a step back and offer her nothing, it's the unknown that draws her in. Clarity. As the minutes go by, she can't stop thinking about why he left. Did he find someone better? Was it something I did? The list of possibilities is endless, and she wants to know more and more. One of the main ideas in Stoicism is emotional strength and control. A Stoic doesn't react emotionally or impulsively. Instead, they understand the power of restraint. This is exactly the mindset you adopt when you disappear. You're not ghosting her out of spite or to play games. You're choosing to step back and keep your cool. The chaos that happens in her mind is out of your hands. It's a natural part of being human. Let me tell you more about what happens in her mind when you pull away. It turns into a battlefield of doubts and questions. She will initially seek answers in the smallest details. She will scrutinize every post, story, and like you share on your social media accounts, treating them as if they were clues in a puzzle. She will check to see if you're going out, if you've met someone new, or if your life is continuing without her. If you have mutual friends, she'll try to get any information she can from them, like, has he mentioned me? Or, is he seeing someone else? In search of an answer, she may ask your family. Her curiosity becomes so intense that it begins to dictate her actions, often without her awareness. Stoicism says that one of the most important things in life is learning what you can and cannot control. You can't change how she feels or how curious she is, but you can change your actions and your silence by not answering her. You stay calm and collected, and you become the center of her storm of questions. This emotional control is what makes you both intriguing and powerful in her eyes. She will want to decipher the code within you, and the more you resist it, the more she will want to do so. But here's a key point. People are naturally curious and like to know things, but as soon as you give her even the slightest hint of an answer, she loses interest. If she discovers the reason for your departure, or realizes that you are deliberately concealing it from her, the magic will cease. That's why you need to stay disciplined. Stoicism tells us that we shouldn't let our feelings control what we do. Be careful not to give her the answers she wants. If you do, you might kill the very thing that makes her think of you. If you don't stop her, curiosity can turn into obsession. She might start showing up at places you frequent, claiming it's just a coincidence. She may look through all of your online interactions, putting together pieces of your life that you didn't even know were public. It's all part of her desperate attempt to figure out who you are. But the truth is, she can't. The only way to keep her interested is to keep your motives and reasoning a mystery. Stoicism also teaches us about detachment. When you pull away, you're practicing detachment, letting go of the need for approval or closure. By not providing an explanation for your actions, you maintain control over her, trapping her in a cycle of doubt and curiosity. You, on the other hand, are free to live your life without any worries. Therefore, allow her to ponder and seek unanswerable questions, as ultimately, while curiosity may not lead to death, it will compel her to pursue the one she can't seem to pinpoint. Looking at yourself 4. Think about yourself. Imagine that you've been there for her. Not too much, but just enough so she knows you're interested. Then one day, you decide to step back. Not because you're playing a game, but because you've realized your own worth. You stop texting her and showing up in that constant presence. Now that you're no longer just another guy in the background, a profound shift occurs. You've vanished, sending her into a state of confusion. Your sudden absence hits hard for a woman accustomed to constant attention. She's accustomed to men competing for her time and validation. She's accustomed to others feeding her ego by competing for her affection. You've dared to be different. You've stepped away from the typical chase. Stoic teachings come into play here. By stepping away, you defy desire and the need for external validation. You have perfect self-control because you don't let her whims control you, which is powerful. At first, she might just shrug it off because she knows he'll come back. That's how relationships work. But as the days pass and you continue to stay away, she begins to question. And this is where things start to change. Why isn't he pursuing me? Did I do something wrong? That seed of doubt begins to grow as she replays every conversation, message, and interaction, trying to figure out what she might have done to push you away, questioning the very dynamics of your relationship. This is the discomfort the Stoics talk about, the discomfort of losing control. Seeing often, women accustomed to attention reside in a state of control, leading others to emulate their actions. Now that you've left, she's no longer in control, and the constant approval from others, which once inflated her ego, begins to diminish. She starts to doubt herself, wondering if she was as captivating as she thought, or if you saw something in her that made you lose interest. These thoughts make her rethink who she is and how she's been acting. Let's take a moment to look at a real-life example. Think about a time when you decided to take a break from someone who seemed to need constant attention. Maybe you chose to focus on yourself for a while. Maybe your work, hobbies, or personal growth took priority. At first it felt good, as you were no longer seeking approval. But then something strange happened. She reached out to you. Why? Because your absence threw off the normal dynamic, it made her think, and she realized that you weren't like the others, which made her question herself. This change in perspective for her can lead to two very different outcomes. In one scenario, she may decide she needs to win you back and take small steps to explore the possibilities. She's reaching out to see if you're still available and trying to rekindle that connection. She's not trying to control you anymore. Instead, she's looking for validation. She wants to show herself that she didn't lose control over you. Her ego wants this because she's not used to being the one in doubt. But remember that, as a Stoic, your power lies in your indifference. You don't react emotionally. You've already chosen to focus on your own path, so whether she comes back or not doesn't affect you. After all the stress she's been going through, she might change her mind. She might decide that your distance is a relief. She might tell herself that you weren't worth the trouble, or that the link wasn't as strong as she thought. But here's the catch. Even after she leaves, she'll remember you for following the rules. She won't easily forget that you stood out and didn't put on a show. Ultimately, as she ponders her mistakes, you've progressed and are concentrating on what truly counts: your personal development, your objectives, and your contribution. She might finally realize that she wasn't in charge after all. That's when she realizes that things don't always go as planned, and the problem isn't always with you or the other guys, it's with her. And that's the ultimate victory. You don't win by getting her back. You win by choosing to be honest with yourself. By doing this, you've gained something much more valuable than her attention: control over your own emotions. This is the real victory. Now we'll move on to the fifth reason why she'll pursue you. The pivotal moment occurs when you abruptly vanish or retreat without providing an explanation. It's like flipping a switch that she didn't even know existed. A mix of rejection and curiosity takes over, and before you know it, she's chasing you. Yes, my friend, it happens more often than you think. Imagine this situation. The moment you stop texting and being available like you used to be, She starts to wonder what happened and why you're no longer under her control. This is where things get interesting. You're no longer predictable, and in her mind, she starts to lose control of the situation. This is the spark that starts her obsession. Let me explain. Her initial action is subtle, yet deliberate. She will begin to closely monitor your online presence with a keen eye. Every time you post something on social media, guess who's the first person to see it? That's right, she'll be there, watching every story you share and every photo you upload. Don't be surprised if she starts liking pictures from years ago, even the awkward ones from 2018. She wants you to know she's still interested. However, if she fails to gather sufficient information, she may resort to more extreme measures, including the creation of fictitious profiles to discreetly monitor you. It's as if she transforms into a digital detective, searching for clues about your location, who you're with, and most crucially, whether you've moved on without her. Just when you think she's done, she'll enlist additional help. She might send a friend to discreetly follow your account, stalking every post you make. It's also possible that her friend's husband will join the surveillance team to maintain discretion. It's like a game where she refuses to low. She engages in a game where she maintains her composure and refuses to acknowledge the impact of your absence. However, this behavior isn't as uncommon as it may appear. In fact, by retreating, you've sparked a sense of urgency within her. Rather than confronting you directly, she seeks to understand the situation without revealing her genuine emotions in the realm of Stoicism. Mes into play. By stepping back, you're practicing one of the core tenets, understanding what is within your control and letting go of what isn't. You're not trying to manipulate her, but rather you're focusing on yourself, your own peace of mind, and that's what throws her off. She senses that shift in you, and it makes her question everything. Have you noticed this kind of behavior before? Maybe you've stepped back and suddenly she's more interested than ever, constantly lurking on your social media or asking friends about you. I'm sure some of you have experienced this firsthand, so please share your thoughts in the comments section. Once you've witnessed how stepping back can drastically alter the situation, it's time to consider your options. Have you ever stepped back and had her come after you? Or are you seeing signs that she's trying to get back into your life? You should consider how your actions affect others now that you've separated. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below and share your experience, or just type, "The power is in my hands." It's always fascinating to see how other people have played this game of attraction. Happiness or sadness? It's possible that when you pull away, you're giving her exactly what she wanted, even if you didn't see it coming. Perhaps she experienced emotional exhaustion or failed to envision a future with you. Your absence might have been a blessing in disguise, freeing her from a situation that no longer served her. She might breathe a sigh of relief and think, "Finally, I don't have to deal with this anymore." Despite the bitterness, Stoics teach that you must accept reality as it is, not as you wish. Perhaps you were clinging to something that had already vanished. In this case, your leaving wasn't a loss for her, it was a gain. This is where Stoicism really shines through. Instead of holding on to the past, you learn to let go, knowing that no relationship can last on one person's work alone. Let's now examine the opposing viewpoint. Regret. Now that you've left, she finds herself alone with her thoughts. She might start to relive your last conversations, remembering the enjoyable times. Slowly, she realizes she might have made a mistake. She may have taken you for granted, said things she didn't mean, or failed to appreciate what you brought to the table. Suddenly, the weight of your absence overwhelms her, leaving her with a deep sense of regret. At this point, her ego begins to question whether she should reach out. Reach out. Is there still a chance to mend the damage that has already occurred? You have the power, my friend. Stoicism teaches us to stay calm in these situations and not make hasty decisions based on our feelings. Her sadness. Wisdom tells you to think about what you want to do before you act. If she does reach out to talk, you need to ask yourself if you really want to go down that path again. Saving a relationship requires a genuine desire to rebuild, to let go of the games, and to work on creating something better for both parties involved. Stoics tell us to only think about the things we can change. You can't change how she feels or the choices she makes, but you can change how you react. That's where your power lies, whether she feels relieved or regretful. You must stay centered on your own sense of self-worth. Accept her move on with grace. If she feels awful about what she did, don't rush back into the relationship without first checking to see if things can really change. It's not just about feeling better or regret. It's also about knowing your worth and choosing the best path for you, whether that's giving her another chance or continuing on your own journey. The most important thing is doing it with purpose, calmness, and clarity, say the Stoics. True freedom comes from inner strength, not external circumstances. 7 times she said, "I'll play the game." Let's talk about something that many of you have probably experienced. When you pull away from a woman, the game of ego and emotion control starts. When you take a step back, perhaps to give her some space, she may perceive it as a challenge. Some women may respond aggressively, believing, "He's retreating. Let's determine who truly holds the power here." This is where things can get tricky. What began as a psychological struggle can swiftly escalate. Stoicism instills in us the importance of remaining unaffected by external events, and this is where maintaining that mindset becomes crucial. As soon as she senses that you've distanced yourself, she might feel like she's lost control, which for some is unbearable. Rather than confronting the emotion directly, she will engage in a classic game of cat and mouse, designed to entice you back. Imagine she texts you unexpectedly, in a playful way, and you think everything is back to normal. However, unexpectedly, she vanishes from your life. There are no replies or updates, just silence. All you can do is gaze at your phone. By disappearing, she provokes you to contemplate her actions and the people she is with, precisely the reaction she desired. You feel off balance, anxious, and questioning everything. She has inadvertently reversed the situation, positioning you as the pursuer. This is where Stoicism comes into play. Marcus Aurelius would tell us that we can only control how we react to other people's actions. If she pulls these tricks on you, you have 2 choices. You can let yourself become confused and angry, or you can stay calm and ignore the chaos she's trying to cause. She may leave clues such as, "Hope you're doing well," prompting you to question whether she truly cares or if she's merely trying to manipulate you. You give her the upper hand because of your doubt, which makes you more anxious. Imagine you're at a party and see her across the room. You have not seen her in some time, but she suddenly appears to be laughing and conversing with someone else, as if she has moved on. Without thinking, you may feel sick wondering what she's doing, but calmness is key. As Ali Epicus said, how you react to your circumstances is more important than your circumstances. You could let your anger and jealousy take over, or you could stay calm and know that her actions don't define your peace of mind. You see, her actions are a way for her to regain the control she feels she lost when you pulled away. It's not so much about you. It's about keeping her sense of power. She can't claim that your withdrawal caused her discomfort, so she engages in these games to regain your trust. But here's the catch. If you get involved, you give her exactly what she wants: control. So what's the Stoic response to this game? It's simple. Let her play it alone. Don't react to her vague messages or disappearances. Don't chase her for answers. Remember that your peace of mind is in your own hands. The moment you stop reacting, the game loses its power. She may try to cause trouble, but your strength lies in your ability to not let it bother you. The true question is whether you will succumb to the trap or overcome it. You are empowered to decide what to do, so follow the patient advice and stay calm. Number 8. The weight of silence. When you go, think about it. 8. How heavy is silence? When you go silent, you're not just leaving the conversation, you're entering her thoughts. Suddenly, your absence becomes more noticeable than any words you could have uttered. This leaves her with numerous unanswered questions. What happened? Did he quit? Is he seeing someone else? The silence begins to have a profound effect on her, causing her to overthink, overanalyze, and most importantly, fear your permanent disappearance. This is so powerful because it taps into a very basic human emotion, the fear of loss. No one enjoys feeling alone or abandoned, and when you create that distance, it makes her uncomfortable and motivates her to take action. In this way, silence is more than just a break in communication. It's a powerful psychological tool from a Stoic point of view. Silence is more than just a mystery. Stoics teach us that our feelings shouldn't control what we do, and in this case, your silence shows how strong you are inside. You're not reacting to everything she says, and you're not jumping to explain yourself or look for approval. You maintain your composure, confidence, and resist the urge to constantly converse with her. People will value you when you can control yourself in this way, as it demonstrates that you don't need her approval to feel good about yourself. Also, my friend is very attractive. Let's say you've been dating a woman for a while and have been texting and calling her all the time. All of a sudden you stop. She sends you a message, and this time you don't reply right away. She starts to wonder why you're not responding. What you've done is create uncertainty. Where there's uncertainty, there's interest. She thinks about you more than ever, replaying talks, wondering why she did what she did, and musing about how she feels. This doesn't mean she's going away. They disappear for weeks on end, giving the impression of deceit. Stoicism says that balance is the key. It's about knowing when to step back just enough to spark interest without making people angry. If you've always been available, getting silent all of a sudden can seem dishonest. However, if you've always maintained your independence, your silence becomes an integral part of your personality, a mystery she seeks to unravel. Let's face it, nobody likes someone who is always the same. If you're the type of guy who always responds immediately and is willing to explain yourself, you become daring. I say that being boring and predictable makes things dull, but when you pull back, you show her that your time and attention are valuable. You show her that you're not always available, which makes her want to chase after you. This is where the real power lies, in controlling what you reveal, not just being quiet, but mastering silence as a form of communication. You don't have to explain everything. Mystery is much more captivating than clarity. In that space of silence, she'll start to try harder to figure out what you're thinking and how she can win you back. But there's an important Stoic lesson here as well. Silence doesn't mean playing games. It's not about controlling her emotions. It's about standing firm in your value. Epictetus said that mindsets, not things, bother us. Your silence should come from a place of strength. If you believe in yourself, being quiet shows it. Don't talk constantly to show interest or get her approval. So how do you find a balance? First, realize that your time and attention are gifts, not guarantees. When you accept silence, you allow her to miss you and appreciate your presence. This is where the Stoic idea of detachment comes in. Regardless of whether she pursues you or not, you remain unattached to her response. This is because you're in charge of your emotions and actions. And here's the best part. When you finally do speak, your words will carry more weight because your silence has shown that you're thoughtful, deliberate, and above all, in control. Avoid saying too much and focus on what you don't say. If you know how to use it right, silence can be your most powerful weapon. As we've seen today, filling the silence can differentiate between being just another guy and becoming the man she can't stop thinking about. So the next time you want to fill the silence, think twice and let it work for you. The loudest message you can send is sometimes the one you silence. Conclusion and the Stoic practice of detachment make it clear that stepping back isn't just about making things mysterious. It's also about valuing your own peace of mind and letting other people deal with their thoughts and actions. In the big picture, this method not only teaches us about the power of self-worth and independence, but it also makes us think about how we interact with others. The Stoic way of thinking gives us a strong way to control our actions and expectations, whether we're trying to get someone interested again or just find balance in our relationships. It tells us that the only thing we can really control in a relationship is ourselves. As you think about today's insights, think about how stepping back might change the dynamics of your own relationship. How could a little distance help your friendship and personal growth? Keep in mind, the ultimate objective isn't solely to pique people's interest or elicit a response. It's to cultivate genuine self-respect and tranquility, which will inevitably attract others. Now, if you found today's content helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more insights. Also, let me know what you think and have experienced about today's topic by leaving a comment below and rating this video on a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the best and 1 being the worst. Your feedback helps us make our videos better and more relevant to your interests. Before you leave, make sure to watch the videos on your screen for more Stoic wisdom and useful advice on how to deal with life's problems. Let's go deeper with us, get motivated, and keep going on this path of self-discovery and growth. Thanks for watching, and remember that the Stoics said, "The obstacle is the way." Keep going, and I'll see you in the next film.